So today I want to talk about this very interesting paper which was to be presented at the Science Congress, which is currently going on in Mysore. And there's this man who was going to present a paper in which he was saying that Shiva is the greatest environmentalist. So unfortunately or fortunately, the man did not turn up. But when he was asked about it, and I'm quoting him from HT, this was his reasoning. So what if my paper had nothing to do with science? What is science? Today's fiction is tomorrow's science. Fiction is the mother of invention. And that's all well and good. I agree completely. Because I think he's trying to allude to the kind of science fictions that used to happen, and then they have all come true, more or less. Now my point is that this paper with this reasoning should have been presented at a literary festival and not a science congress. Second, if he's saying that today's fiction is tomorrow's science and alluding to those H.G. Wells type novels, then is he going to invent a Shiva, who is going to be the greatest environmentalist? Because he obviously doesn't have the difference between mythology and popular, like fiction of this sort, clear in his head.
Actually, Mritamra, you put it brilliantly. That is this great scholar going to invent Shiva. You are absolutely right. The point you see is that Shiv and other such figures and the miracles associated with them, their characters, they are part of Puranikta, they are part of mythology. And mythology is an extremely significant and sensitive aspect of individual and collective psyche. It should be respected and it should be taken in a very serious manner in its own way. The problem with such people, however, is that they suffer from a kind of terror of science. They are obsessed with science, however they understand it. They want to prove the scientificness of everything. To my mind, it's a really, really very diffident exercise. I think it's unnecessary, and in fact sometimes I feel it is stupid to prove that this is a scientific truth, that to take example from another culture, that Jesus fed 5,000 people with 2 pieces of bread and 5 pieces of fish. There is no point in proving it or disproving it. Similarly, there is absolutely no point in proving or disproving it that Hanumanji jumped the entire sea in one go. These are legends, these are mythologies, and they are not informative statements. Their truth is not informative, their truth is transformative. They are trying to tell you something on a deeper level of consciousness, and they should be taken at that level. That is number one. Number two, it is extremely important to make a distinction between science, history, fiction, and mythology. Each of these disciplines are important, and as disciplines, they have their own norms, their own conditionalities, their own demands. I mean, I don't know whatever this man is, whatever science he has studied or not studied.
He's a botanist.
Whatever he is, I don't know. The point is, yes, he is right that today's invention or today's imagination is tomorrow's science. But there is a whole world of travel, whole world of rigorous scientific disciplined travel between this today and tomorrow. Science, as we understand it in that particular context, is a method which is deeply rooted in experimentation, which is looking for universal truths, which is looking for discoveries and proposals which can be challenged in the same method and which can be proved. And in matters of science, there is no place for hurt sentiments. When someone criticizes Newton or his physics, he is not hurting his sentiments. After Einstein, Newton does not become less important. Only something is added to our understanding of universe. I wonder that people like him, would they be agreeable to a statement that Shiva did not exist at all? A scientist would not mind this statement. He would try to prove, but his feelings will not be hurt. So there is a difference between the discourse as it is conducted in science and as it is conducted in matters of faith. Secondly, I think this is really painful to see that people try to reduce and unnecessarily mix. As you know, mixed metaphors are very funny sometimes. Similarly, these kind of mixed methodologies also become very funny. I would advise the gentleman, if he really wants to understand the significance of Shiva, Ram, Krishna, Draupadi, Sita, and all such characters in Hindu mind and in Hindu psyche, better he should read Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia instead of doing all this, whatever he is doing. In fact, what's happening here, Manu? It's like translating something from one language to the other without understanding the syntax, diction, and grammar of either of the language. It's like this. Suppose, and in Sanskrit it is called Makshika Sthane Makshika. You see, Makshika Sthane Makshika, you are trying to say something about science in the language of mythology and fiction, which is not the way to do it. It's like doing this is something like this. I asked somebody to translate this sentence from Hindi to English. Lala ji Chandni Chowk mein टहल rahe the. And this great scholar translates this sentence like this: Bring heart was walking in the moonlight yard. So it's like this. These people are actually walking in the moonlight yard. They do not understand mythology, they do not understand literature, they do not understand history, and they are simply...
They definitely do not understand science.
They definitely do not understand science, and therefore they are just diffident, they are terrified of science. They actually presume that science is the supreme, and therefore each of our faith, each of our mythology, each of our literary convention, each of our cultural practice must be proved scientific. It is not at all necessary.
True.
And therefore we must respect science, we must have a scientific temper, and scientific temper means critical evaluation of everything. And that is the problem with these people. In last Science Congress, this is my last point, Manu, please excuse me. In last Science Congress, there was a paper arguing for the existence of spacecrafts in Vedic times. These gentlemen and ladies do not understand the simple thing that technology develops from simple to complex.
Not complex.
They do not understand, and I mentioned this on a television discussion, and the gentleman representing this viewpoint got really furious, if you recall. I simply asked him that first, why don't you search for bicycle in Vedic Yuga? Was there a bicycle or not? Was there a scooter or not? Were there concrete roads or not? They will not search for bicycles again, because bicycles do not carry the glamour of a spacecraft.
Yeah.
The point is that without bicycle you cannot have a spacecraft.
I think they said
because
aeroplanes.
Technology develops from simple to complex, not the vice versa.
Okay.
And there is a difference between science and technology. This is also important, and therefore it's no point in walking in the moonlight yard without understanding either the structure of science or the structure of mythology.